Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Science Online. My name is Chris. And if you follow and you watched last week's episode, you know that I hinted at something, and a couple of you guessed it, and I posted something on the Maine State Library Facebook page. You know, if you know this is, you know why I'm excited. I also hope everybody can hear me because I'm using new headphones. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I can see the comments this time. I think I turned them on correctly, and if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up or just I can hear you. That'll be amazing. The other thing is the big hint was that it had to do with the tree. Well, I didn't know 100% if this was going to be okay and I was going to be able to do it, but I got the okay. And now, for the next 2 days, I'm going to learn how to make maple syrup. But not just the old school way, which I'm going to show you part of today, but also using reverse osmosis. Now, if you don't know what reverse osmosis is, it's amazing. And there's going to be a video out. It's going to be phenomenal. Basically, what happens is it reduces the energy and time it takes to actually boil down and make maple syrup. Maple syrup. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about why maple trees work, and then we're going to actually use an old school metal tap, and we're going to tap a maple tree to get some sap. Obviously, sap runs when there are very cold evenings, so below freezing, and it's really warm. Well, it is definitely not warm today. So even if I correctly tap this tree, I'm probably not going to get sap out of it because the sap freezes in the tree. So the way it works and why maple trees are the ones that we tap, is that maple trees in their syrup, because all trees have syrup, like just to varying degrees. Basically, it's what makes the cellulose that makes the trees, and it's why the trees get bigger. It's how the trees grow. It's nutrients for the trees. The reason we tap when we boil down and make maple syrup from maple trees is because maple syrup has special amino acids that when boiled down into a concentrate, which is why maple syrup is so sticky, so thick, is those amino acids make the flavor of maple syrup. That's why maple syrup is the way it is. It's the amino acids. Now, I know you can do it with birch syrup. I think there is like one other tree. But generally speaking, when we're talking about making syrup from trees, everybody thinks maple. Why do I keep touching this? This is a maple tree. However, there are numerous types of maple trees. There are red maples and sugar maples. I can't name them all because I've already forgotten some. I think there are white maples. This is a Norwegian maple. You actually really don't want to tap these trees necessarily for syrup because their syrup doesn't come out clear. It comes out kind of milky and gooey. So we're going to tap the tree that we're not going to take syrup from, but that's okay because, well, you'll see in a few minutes. Now, the reason that maple syrup works is because in the springtime, when you have freezing temperatures at night and you have warm temperatures during the day, what happens is pressure. Nutrients from the roots, the water, the nutrients from the ground, use that pressure to push that sap up the tree so it goes to the branches, it goes to create new leaves, create new buds. And obviously in the springtime, when the tree is growing the most, that's when the sap runs the hardest. Now when things cool down, that sap and that pressure changes and everything goes back down. Now those warm temperatures are why the sap flows down, which is what we're going to catch now. So what you're going to need is a drill. I make no promises on this one. It's a little Ryobi. They don't sponsor me. I'm pretty sure I can get through this tree. We're going to try. You need a drill bit that is the thickness of your tap. Now, I know I'm wearing gloves, but it's cold out, so I'm not going to take them off. This is an old school metal maple tap. And what you're going to see is it has a lip. This lip is where the syrup funnels out. You have a tap. Now, if you notice the very end of the tap, see that little hole? That's for the syrup. It is tapered, like a tapered cylinder, and that's because we want to push this into the tree so that the syrup, instead of changing the pressure and dripping down, will come out and into our bucket, which usually hooks here. Now, I don't have any sugar maples, so I'm not going to actually collect the syrup. Normally, you would have a bucket hang from here, and a lid would go in here, so that way nothing that, you didn't want in your syrup, like things that fall from the sky, like from squirrels and birds or nuts or anything else that could contaminate our syrup, would get in it. So you put a bucket, you check your bucket, especially if it's really warm, and that's how you get your maple syrup. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take my drill. I'm gonna try really hard not to fall down the hill. And I'm going to, now, this isn't gonna hurt the tree. People have been drilling into maple trees for hundreds of years. Oops, on the ground. What it's gonna do is just make a hole. I'm gonna go at a slight upward angle because there are different types of feeds. I hope this doesn't blow up my fingers. But I'm just putting a little pressure, a little upward angle because we're gonna use gravity feed. And that gravity is going to put all the syrup in my bucket. Oh, I'm too far away. I'll read those comments in just a second. I should have got my DeWalt. Now, there are actually special, whoops, it's not straight. There are special caps or bits specifically for tapping into trees. They're $20 and I don't have one, so I didn't buy one and I'm sorry. Now, this doesn't hurt the tree. What's going to happen is at the end of the season, or in my case, right after I'm done with this video, at the end of the season, I'm going to take out this tap. I'm just trying to get a better leverage on it. I'm going to take out this tap, and what's going to happen is all of that sap that we didn't collect is going to come down, fill in that hole, and basically that hole is going to heal itself. Just like if we have bruised or cut and we get scabbed, it's going to do the same thing. So underpowered. Boop. So underpowered. We need a bigger drill for Christmas. It's also because the sap is starting to run. Again, not today, but it's very wet wood, so it makes it hard to drill. So, continue on. Go, little Ryobi, go. Yay! And again, I made a mark on my drill. I'm gonna make sure there's nothing in there. You also want to use a clean drill because you don't want any rust or anything in there. Because again, we're gonna eat this sap. Not this sap because it's icky. And then you take our tap, the one that we just showed you. Okay. And again, I'd be a little more, antiseptic and more clean if we were actually going to collect syrup. All you do, put the tapered end in. Now, under normal circumstances, and I'll pick it up so you guys can see, my hole would definitely be a little deeper. I have an underpowered drill. And all you do, and this is why they call it tapping, is you just tap it in. So eventually it'll stop. And there you go. We have successfully, hold on, I gotta start my guards because it's cold. We'll flip it around, boop. This is my fence, and we have successfully tapped a maple tree. Now, this part would be the process where we would hang our bucket, we would cover it up, and especially on a day like today, okay, and for those people who actually tap, I realize that is probably not in far enough, but again, I have a really underpowered drill, so please don't come at me. So what happens is we've just tapped this maple tree. Syrup will come out the spout when it gets warmer. People will go around and they will collect the buckets to collect the syrup, and then the magic happens. And this is the difference between what I'm going to learn in the next 2 days and share with you, and what we've done for hundreds of thousands of years. When we create maple syrup. Usually you need a lot of fuel, so either wood or propane or something to burn, because you have to boil down syrup. Syrup, or especially the tree syrup. The tree syrup, and I'm going to say when it comes from the tree, it's tree syrup. Tree syrup? Say syrup a lot, guys, and see what happens to your brain. So when it comes from the tree, it's got a lot of water in it, and in order to create maple syrup, or what we think of as maple syrup, you have to boil it down, and that takes a tremendous amount of energy. Hours. I think the ratio is for every 40 gallons of syrup, you get like 38 to 40 gallons of actual maple syrup that you would put on pancakes, and all of that, is it right? Thank you, Steph. All of that has to be boiled down. That liquid, that water has to be boiled off. And that takes so much heat and so much energy to do. It takes hours. It takes so much time and perseverance to watch that boiler and make sure that blinding you with 40 to 1. Thank you, Stephanie. And what happens is that by using reverse osmosis, now it sounds like a fancy, scary science term. All reverse osmosis is a high-tech filter. So like you may have a reverse osmosis filter on your tap water. So what happens is that the water goes in, gets filtered, and comes out with, you know, the byproducts, the nasty stuff, the minerals all trapped in the filter, so you're drinking pure H2O. Well, the reason we call it reverse osmosis is because we don't want that pure water. What we're doing is reverse osmosis is instead of taking that pure water, we're breaking it down so that we're keeping all those impurities. Because those impurities, I'm trying to get you all out of the sun. Those impurities, all of the sugar, all of that sap, that's what we want to keep. So we're actually going to have, I'm going to show you all, and it's going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited to learn. 2 days. It's going to be cold and it's going to be amazing. We're going to figure out reverse osmosis, and we're going to keep all of that pure water, and we're going to use it to help clean all of the filters and all of the impurities, which is now our cleaner and drier. And that's the important part. The maple syrup that we are going to collect from reverse osmosis has less water. And because it has less water, that means it takes less fuel and less time to burn down and boil to make maple syrup. So we're saving time, we're saving energy, and we get to do science. I know, Stephanie, I'm super excited about this. And that's reverse osmosis. And this is how you tap a maple tree. Now, the thing that I have that most people, or the thing that I'm a little curious about is, I don't know how to take it out. Like, in theory, there's a tool. I'm hoping I can just tap it and it'll come out. But there are tools to take out taps. This is considered sometimes the old-fashioned way. Many people still go around and they go from tree to tree with a bucket, and a big bucket, usually on a sled, and they collect all the syrup. The place that I'm going to go actually uses pumps, gravity feeds, and they pump all of the syrup in long, like 100-foot plastic, like food-grade tubes from the trees directly to the syrup house. So that means you don't have to trudge through the woods with little buckets to put in big buckets. So I'm very excited. I'm going to learn so much more, and I'm going to share it with you. And I'd love to say go out and find a maple tree, but I'm really bad at bark identification. And this is the one time I'm going to say don't go out and try and tap a tree, because it might not be a maple. But Maine Maple Sunday is coming up. I know with COVID things are going to be a little different, but buy local, ask questions, do science, and maybe this spring and summer, mark your maple trees. See if you can figure out if you have maple trees around you. Make sure it's not an oak. Yeah, that won't work. Make sure that they're the correct type of maple. And then maybe next spring you can tap and boil down and create your own maple syrup. How neat would that be? Anyway, do science, ask questions, be curious. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And next week, we're going to learn reverse osmosis, and we're going to tap some trees, and we're going to use pumps. Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to be so much fun. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.